Okay, let's talk a little bit about Dave Asprey gets it wrong. We'll talk about some German kids. First, I'd like to show you another quick little video, success video. Take a look at this. Okay, a lot of controversy in Germany, the so-called Grandma Gate. Apparently, a bunch of German kids were recorded singing a song about how Grandma is an environmental pig because she drives a motorcycle and eats pork chops. And we all know that eating pork chops is destroying the environment. This was sort of I think, a poke at Greta, perhaps. Some people say it's satire. However, it showed a bunch of German kids basically singing songs about how awful their relatives are. We've had that situation where German kids were turning in their family members before. Not a good scene. Anyway, controversial. It's upset a lot of people. This is what this climate craziness is doing to people. You know, there's reasonable things, and then there's hating your family. There is, first, the main issue that I have is change what you're going to eat is going to have minimal impact, and there's far better things you can do with regard to animal agriculture, i.e. regenerative agriculture, that can actually help the environment. And for the naysayers out there, there's a couple studies that say there's not enough land. These were done by a Loma Linda researcher, a guy who basically takes funding from Loma Linda, and then another Harvard researcher who's not a range scientist. And all these other studies that have piggybacked on those two primary literary sources, come from that. And what they failed to do, in both of those authors failed to do, is they failed to account for the ability for regenerative agriculture to actually improve the land to the degree that you can be more productive and put more animals on the land. And so that is one of the big errors they make. And so certainly we know absolutely that if we were to raise the level of efficiency with regard to animal welfare throughout the world, I'm talking the world. Remember, the United States only has not even 10% of the cattle on the planet. Most of it is in other places, India in particular, Africa, Southeast Asia, other parts of Southeast Asia, South America. And so if these other countries were to raise their level of animal health by vaccinating and deworming or treating parasites, proper breeding, and better nutrition, then these animals would be much more productive. And that alone would feed the world, certainly at the current rate of meat, without putting any more animals on there. In fact, there's studies out there that show that you could actually feed the world, even 10 billion people, the same level of meat we're getting today with even less animals than we have today if efficiency standards were raised. Now, if we do a regenerative agriculture, we are more productive on the land. There's just a lot of ways to go here. So just throw the cows out is just the wrong answer. Okay? All right, let's get on to old Dave Asprey. So Dave Asprey was on Tom Bilyeu's show. I think Tom's calling that show. It used to be the Impact Factor. He's called it something now, like Impact Health or Health Theory, or I can't remember what it was. It was Impact Theory, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, he changed the name. In fact, I'm on his show. I'll be on his show sometime in the next few weeks, I believe. I went up there and recorded an episode with Tom up in his Beverly Hills mansion, I don't know, a month ago or something like that. Pretty interesting. You go in his house, and the whole front of his house is studio. And he has like I don't know, five studio people living in his home. His 11,000 square foot mansion that the guy has. Anyway, nice interview I did. That'll be out too. But back to Dave Asprey. So Dave is, he's had some advice that's been good over the years. Lower carb things may have helped a lot of people. Some of the other things he does, I think, potentially have benefit. But he has a lot of just BS, and a lot, it's kind of like Mercola, just a little bit of good, but a lot of this crap, and a lot of this supplement, buy my supplement, overstate your claims, use some sort of shaky scientific evidence. It sounds sciencey, buy my supplement. But he goes on to say that he sort of kind of tried a carnivore diet. He didn't sleep as well. I mean, I don't know that the carnivore diet contains 300 supplements a day. It doesn't contain vegetables. A short period of time. There are some people that have sleep adjustment issues at the beginning, but then that evens out, tends to. So his trial was really, I wouldn't take much into that, other than he probably just didn't do it long enough, and he certainly wasn't sort of really doing it. But one of the things I will take issue is, his claim that eating more than 20% of your protein is somehow going to shorten your lifespan. And the reason I say that is because there's no credible human data for that. There is zero with a capital Z human data that supports that. We have some studies in lower animals, C. elegans, the nematodes, some mosquito stuff, fruit fly stuff, mouse stuff, that shows that a reduction in protein can extend some lives. But then again, we've got studies showing that animals that exercise and take in more protein do just as well and avoid just as much cancer. Listen to the HPO podcast we did with Professor Keith Barr. But when we're talking about human data, one study that was done by Walter Longo and Morgan Levine back a couple of years ago, published in Cell, showing that middle-aged adults that restricted protein lived longer, but as soon as they got older, they had to eat more protein. So first of all, that study is complete crap, as shown by the critique done by Professor Don Layman, Professor Stuart Phillips, and 10 other university professors that critique that. I've had both of those guys on my podcast. And basically, they sent an editorial critique to Cell, and they refused to publish it. And you know why they refused to publish it? Because Walter Longo sits on the editorial board of Cell. So this is just showing that these guys are putting their data out. Now Walter Longo, what's he doing? He's selling you his fasting Prolon bullshit, fasting bars, and that sort of stuff. But what they saw in that study that Longo did, they picked through the NHANES data, and they only selected certain parts of the NHANES data. And the NHANES is the U.S. collection of all our food input. It's probably the best one we have. But he went through there, and he selectively chose which data he wanted to utilize and threw out all the stuff that didn't match his theory. Listen to our podcast, HPO podcast with Professor Don Layman, for that critique. And so, other than that, there's no human data. In fact, we see what happens to people that restrict to protein. Go to a nursing home. They become frail, weak, debilitated, and have a horrible quality of life. And so, this sort of belief that you're going to live a long time by restricting protein is, again, there's no real good human data, and even if you do, you're going to live a frail, weak, pathetic existence. And so that is one of the issues I have with that. Okay, guys, well, Carnivore Month is going. We've got close to 9,000 of you already signed up. We're taking sign-ups all throughout the month. You can go to MeatRx.com to sign up. It's absolutely free. Go to MeatRx. If you want to sign up to MeatRx for the month of January, that's free as well. And you can participate in our daily video chats. You can utilize our discounts on meat and other products. You can utilize our research libraries for looking at medical studies, scientific studies, that sort of support the position that I and others are taking. We've got hundreds and hundreds of articles, more added every day. You can go and find out about the environmental arguments. We've got hundreds and hundreds of scientific articles that support animal agriculture and what it can do for the environment and other issues. Study for meat eaters, for carnivores, will be commencing probably in March, is what I hear from the principal researchers, primarily David Ludwig. All right, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Take care.